So there's two things that are really worth pointing out in this bill. So the first is it's internal inconsistencies. Yeah, like you said. So for example, in the preamble, it talks about how this bill is necessary because it's condemning and ending harmful practices that are based on harmful stereotypes about gender and about sex. But then it goes on to define conversion therapy in a way that says that any practice, any any service or any practice that attempts to get somebody, a child or an adult, to reduce their gender expression that does not align to their sex assigned at birth is a form of conversion therapy. Well, for any lawmaker or any person who's charged with enforcing the law, a police officer or a judge applying the law or anyone else, in order for them to make any sense of that aspect of conversion therapy, you actually need to apply a very rigid gender stereotype. So let me spell it out with an example because it's pretty confusing to try to explain it without having the words in front of us. So I'll give you the example. So the example is this: I have three kids, two boys and a girl. If I have a rule in my house, a practice in my house that says that nobody in my house is allowed to wear makeup until they're 18 years old. Um, I just say, that's my rule, and I don't like, maybe as a parent, I don't like makeup because it sexualizes children, let's say, or has a tendency to do that. Okay, so that's my rule. Then I'm allowed to enforce that rule, that practice against my daughter, because if she wears or doesn't wear makeup, it has nothing to do with her gender identity or her gender expression, insofar as it being different than her gender identity aligning with her so-called sex assigned at birth. But if I enforce that rule vis-a-vis my son, let's say my son at age 14 or 16 wants to start wearing eyeliner or lipstick or blush or whatever, nail polish. And I say, no, you can't do that. The practice in this house, the rule in this house is no makeup until you're 18. Well, now suddenly it's a practice that seeks to reduce the gender expression of an individual where that expression does not align with his sex assigned at birth. But in order for that to make sense, there has to be a stereotype, a rigid stereotype about what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a man as it relates to the use of makeup. So, so in order to make any sense of this new rule, this new criminal law, you actually have to have a rigid understanding of what it means to be a boy and what it means to be a girl, and actually the behavior of a boy and a behavior of a girl. And so it's like inherently self-contradictory. It's a really, really problematic bill. And that's what you get when, and this is going to be my second point about the bill, this is what you get when you have a deeply, deeply religious piece of legislation that's unmoored from reality. And this is what I would want your listeners to really understand, that Bill C-4 is one of the most explicitly religious pieces of legislation we've seen in a very, very long time. I mean,
Wow.
yeah. So, and you'll see it most clearly when you read the preamble to the bill. It uses language like myth multiple times, and it doesn't describe mythical facts, right? Myth is usually applied to facts, factual claims, right? Like if you say a unicorn is a real animal, you say, no, it's a mythical creature. It's a myth that
Hmm.
unicorns exist,
Hmm.
right? It's either fact or myth. But what they do in the preamble of this bill is they apply it to value judgments, to value claims. Well, you can't say that one value claim is mythical and another one is not. It's either a true or a good or a just value claim, or it's not. But those are things that we debate in philosophical and religious terms. And so what this bill says is that it's a myth that one sexual orientation or one gender identity or gender expression should be preferred over another. And that's what they want to condemn. That's what they want to denounce through this bill. Well, what does that say then about not just the Christian worldview as it relates to sexual ethics and the Christian worldview as it relates to gender and sex, to personal identity? It actually is a claim against other religious views on this as well. The Jewish religion has very distinct views on this. The Islamic
Islam, yeah.
worldview, the Buddhist worldview, the Hindu worldview, First Nations Aboriginal spirituality has claims around these things.
Mhm.
And so what Bill C-4 is saying is there is a religion. It has a name, and that it's got multiple names, but the religion behind Bill C-4 is secular humanism is one name. I actually prefer Gnostic liberalism. I think it's a Gnostic bill, deeply Gnostic, and it's imposing the civil government through Parliament is imposing its religious worldview as it relates to identity, as it relates to sexual ethics, and as it relates to sex itself, and saying our religious claims are now truth for everyone. And if you have a different religious claim as it relates to sex, identity, and so on, then we criminalize the imposition or the promotion or the advertising of that view. And this is about as religious as it gets when we're talking about a criminal law ban.
Please subscribe and hit the bell to stay up to date. If you liked or disliked the snippet, give it a like and share your 2 cents with us in the comment section. And remember, 6 cents makes change.